everything that you've said will be out in the press, it'll be on the radio, it'll be on the television. This is something you can't buy, this kind of, you just can't buy it.
Okay, we need to understand two fundamental principles going into any talk of impeachment. The first fundamental principle is that obviously he's not going to be convicted in the Senate. We know that, right? He's not going anywhere. And beyond that, even if he were, then we'd get Joe Biden, who I know we all dismiss as what he is, which is a man of very little brain. But he is also a hardcore ideologue. And so the suggestion that it turns out that even stupid presidents can do an enormous amount of damage. So leave that aside for a second. The other truth, and this is what we do at Truth Revolt, is that the media will completely destroy it. The media will completely destroy it. The same way that they destroyed Kenneth Starr in order to protect their beloved Clinton. The same way that they're going to destroy these protesters in Murrieta. What we need to focus on before we even get to that is winning back the hearts and minds of the American people. Because the way this is going to come off, and you know where the media narrative is going on this, and you can predict it. And this is not me agreeing with the media narrative, obviously. It's false, it's a lie, but this is what the media does. What they will do is they will state that the only reason to impeach Barack Obama, who has committed no crime, of course, which is what they'll say, the only reason is because he's a black guy. And we're all a bunch of racists, and so therefore it would be a backfire. I am not focused, as much as I say that Obama's a criminal, there are lots of criminals. There are lots of them. Right? They're stacked up in the DOJ, they're stacked up in the EPA, they're stacked up in the IRS, they're stacked up in every executive branch of government, and every executive agency, by the way, has its own SWAT team. So all the criminals are in the government, they all have guns. The solution is not to get rid of one guy. The solution is to defund all these various parts of the government. If we're going to do something in the House, let's do that, because that's actually achievable. And then the solution is to work on convincing the American people that it's actually worthwhile being an American, because right now, we don't have a battle in this country between one ideology that's American and another that's quasi-American. We have one that's American, and we have one that is absolutely and utterly foreign and antithetical to American ideals.
Excuse me. My question is, I think most of us know that all those emails that they claim that they've been destroyed or crashed, I believe in my heart that they will eventually be found. I believe that they've been backed up. They're probably backed up at the NSA.
I'm sure.
Yeah. The question is...
When's the last time you lost your emails and you could drill to your computer to get them out? That's what they did. They drilled a hole through Lois Lerner's hard drive. Legitimately. Yeah. When she said her computer was broken, they took a drill and drilled a hole directly through her hard drive.
Exactly. Well, eventually they're going to be exposed, and we're going to learn about them. And once we learn that they're tied to the White House directly, my question to you is, do you think that will be enough will be the straw that breaks the camel's back, that some extreme action could be taken to remove this man from office?
Well, I think that, again, this is, again, the impeachment question in a different guise. I don't think that there's going to be anything that encourages Democrats to impeach their own president. It's not going to happen. What we should be focused on is the portrayal of folks who are criminals. And that's why I think it's important to speak of them as criminals. And it's important to recognize the criminality and the absolute evil of so many folks in the executive branch, because it is evil to violate the rights of other people. As far as the IRS scandal, I actually do not believe that the emails will be found. I believe that if they are found, I don't think there will be a smoking gun, because Barack Obama is a lawyer, and all lawyers know the fundamental rule of committing a criminal act: don't put it in writing. I highly doubt you're ever going to find an email directly from Barack Obama to Lois Lerner saying, you know, it'd be awesome if you just went after the Tea Party patriots here. I really don't think that you're going to dig that up. And you don't need to. I mean, that's what's so insane. In this country, you don't need to do that. This is what the Racketeer Influencing Corrupt Organizations Act, the RICO Act, was created in 1970 to go after the mafia. The premise of that act was that it was very difficult to tie the heads of the mafia, the Don Corleone figures, from to the Luca Brasi figures, because there was never a direct chain of command. Right? There was never a direct order. So they created RICO to say, okay, it's obvious that you wanted this person to be killed. You're obviously a conspiracy. And so now we're going to drag you all into court together. That's what the executive branch is. It is a mafioso organization. The President of the United States never needs to say to Lois Lerner, target 501c4s on the other side of the aisle. All he has to do is make a bunch of speeches about how Citizens United is evil and terrible, and wouldn't it be great if somebody did this? And a bunch of senators on the Democrat side of the aisle need to send a letter, which is what they did, to the IRS, saying, please target some Tea Party groups, and magically, voila, Tea Party groups targeted. And then, of course, you have people running to the microphones to declare it a phony scandal. Here's the problem. The media has such utter control over the narrative in this country, and this is why we're going to... You know, I've been begging folks. There are folks on the right, and they will drop $400 million on crappy ads in far-flung areas of Virginia for Mitt Romney, right, that nobody will ever see. Those $400 could buy a network. I mean, honest to God, for a couple $1 billion, you could buy NBC. Right? If we're actually going to do this, then let's do it right. Let's get into the business of taking over the things people watch. It's amazing. I mean, we on the right, we're acting like it's still 1790, and now it's time for us to print up and distribute a bunch of pamphlets. Pamphlets are great. Okay, they are. They're wonderful. But it turns out that most people my age have never read a pamphlet. Most people my age don't even know what a pamphlet is. It's some sort of e-book. What is it? Right? Pamphlets are important. They really are, because they get people who actually have money to read about the situation. They get people to distribute. But you really want to do something? Why don't you go to where the crowd is? We're such fuddy-duddies over on the right that we're lecturing young people about what we wish they liked, what we wish they watched, what we wish they did with their free time, instead of saying, oh, well, what you actually do with your free time is not study Hayek. Wow, shocker. What do you actually do with your free time? Oh, it turns out that you watch NBC. It turns out that you watch CBS or ABC. It turns out that you go to websites like BuzzFeed. Instead of going where the crowd is, we're standing out on the street corner with the signs saying the end is near, and then we expect everybody to sort of resonate to us. That's not the way that it works. If we're going to spend our money, let's spend our money smart. Let's put our money where it counts, and let's stop worrying about local TV ads that, by the way, everybody my age TiVo'd through. There's this invention. It's called TiVo. You go through the commercials. It's magic.
Everything that you have said to us today is true, and I'm sure everybody here understands you completely. It appears as though pretty much the fix is in. The low information voters are not us or most of our friends, although we do have these friends. And so
That's a bad move on your part if you do, but continue.
I have two points. Point one is, how do we reach the low information populace when we can't get around the media and we can't get the information out? And for those of us who have friends who are low information voting Democrats, who think they're Democrats because they don't understand what it means now, what in a sentence or two?
This is the right question. This is totally the right question. Right? The right question is not what do we do about Obama. Particularly, the question is not what do we do about the criminality of this particular administration. The question is, how do we reach people? How do we talk to them on a level that they understand? And believe it or not, me citing the Arms Export Control Act is not going to do a lot of good with people my age who don't know that arms are not those things that Jillian Barberie has on her body. The answer is actually, nobody has spelled this out better than my mentor, David Horowitz. Nobody has spelled this out better. You have to speak the language of morality. You must speak the language of morality. The left wins because nobody on the left knows anything about politics. They know you're evil. That's it. They know you're a racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe who hates the poor. Right? That's what they know about you. And it's not they think that about you. They know that about you. Deep down, they know all these evil things about you, which is why Thanksgiving dinners are always so awkward if you're unfortunate to have Jewish relatives or you have friends on the left, which are the exact same focus group. The answer to all of this is to speak in the language of morality. This is why I never say the government compels people to do stuff. The government does not compel people to do stuff. The government compels people to do stuff at point of gun. Why do I say that? Because leftists are scared of guns. Right? When we say the government compels things, people say, oh, well, compulsion. Well, that's just like taxes, right? No. That's somebody coming to your house in the middle of the night with a SWAT team, with a gun, pointing it at you and dragging you off to prison for not doing what they want. Right? That is what we are facing. Right? When it comes to the left, it's not, we're such idiots, honestly. We were constantly arguing about whether our tax program is more efficient than their tax program. It's not about efficiency. Barack Obama gave the right answer to the wrong question, right? He gave, when he was asked in 2008, would you raise the capital gains tax, even if it means less revenue to the government? Would you raise it? He said yes, for purposes of fairness. Right? Even if it meant people were more impoverished, even if it meant people were more poor, the answer was yes, for purposes of fairness. Why? Because people don't speak the language of poverty. People don't speak the language of efficiency. People don't speak Mitt Romney's 57-point tax plan. You can't even name 2 points on his 57-point tax plan. People speak the language of fairness and justice and morality. They want to think that they're right and the other guy is wrong. They want to have a feeling of, in many cases, unearned moral superiority based on their opposition to things. This is why everybody was getting off ripping on Donald Sterling for being a crazy old racist coot Did they accomplish anything? No. But they felt real good because they got to go around telling all their friends that Donald Sterling was a racist old coot. Right? This is what they do. So, speak their language. In other words, next time they say something like, I believe in the minimum wage, then you should say, why exactly is it that you want to put a gun to the head of a business owner and force them to pay something? Why is that okay? Why isn't that violative of basic principles of consent? Like you over here, you like gay marriage because you say that two men should be able to wed each other, but those two men shouldn't be able to do business with each other in a mutually agreed relationship? So if instead of them having sex, they were actually just, one was signing a check to the other to paint his car, then you're saying that's not okay? And that you're going to take a gun and put it to the head of one of them in order to make that happen? It's because you're a totalitarian. Right? This is the truth. The left is totalitarian. You don't have to feel bad about saying these things. And when you talk about the inefficiencies of the left's social policies in the inner city, who gives a crap? This is really, I mean, honestly, no one in the inner city is thinking about, wow, this really is not very efficient. What they're thinking is there are a bunch of Tea Party Ku Klux Klanners out there who are going to invade their inner city and burn down their houses. Why do they think that? Because they're Democrats and apparently some Republicans, Dad Cochran, who actually have been doing this sort of stuff, have been saying this sort of stuff. The answer to that is that the real racists are and always have been folks on the left who wish to exploit racial division in order to pay off their cronies. The reason the education system sucks in the inner city is because the left wants to pay off its union buddies at the expense of black kids.
Damn.
The reason that the left has not done anything for the inner cities despite years of dominance in Detroit,
dude is
the reason
the
is
best,
because they wanted the violence. And it is about intent. It's not about effect. There's a really telling point in the 2012 election cycle when Bill Clinton was talking about Obama, and he said, the difference between Obama.
I think this
Mitt
is the
Romney.
best fucking C-SPAN book TV
Somebody
I've ever
who
watched.
says that Barack Obama's done a really poor job. Barack knows he hasn't done a great job, but he feels really bad about it. This was an actual line, right? And people bought that because and the polls show this, right? 80% of people thought that Mitt Romney cared less about them than Barack Obama in exit polls. 80%. That's a majority of Republicans. Right? But when it came to policies, they agreed with Mitt Romney. But people don't vote with their heads, people vote with their hearts. So, go after what people feel. Go after the language of morality. Socialism is not a good idea that went wrong, and whenever you hear Republicans or conservatives say this, it's because they have the IQ of a kumquat. Socialism was a horribly evil idea that went completely right. It went exactly as they thought it was going to go. This was the design from the start. Socialism is a fundamentally immoral, evil, unfair, discriminatory, and disgusting system that violates off the bat 3 of the 10 commandments, right? You don't steal, God, not government, and you shouldn't be jealous of your neighbor's ass, right? That's in the actual language, correct? Not the Bill Clinton language. So,
Oh shit.
these are the terms that we should be speaking. These are the terms that hit young people. Because young people nobody has the time to read all of the entire editorial page of the Wall Street Journal. Nobody does. Everybody's attention span is 5 seconds long. So if you can't make people feel good about being conservative, make them feel really, really bad about being leftist. You know why? They deserve to feel bad about being leftist. They're siding with an evil ideology.
Okay, I apologize. This has to be the last question.
Ben, I got to get my pulse down a little bit before I ask this. I really want to thank you for an informative, exciting, educational talk that is enlightening for everybody. I have...
No, thank you.
This is the generation where the young teach the old.
I have 2 questions hooked together but totally separate because I don't want to be mistaken with these questions. Number 1, you discussed about the ideological foundings of President Obama, but I didn't recall hearing you talk about what some psychologists have talked about, his narcissism, which is his inability to see where he's wrong. Then the second question, and separate,
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to run for office someday?
As far as the first question, and thank you for delinking the questions. I see now why you did that. As far as the first question as to his narcissism, yes, of course, President Obama is a dramatic narcissist. Most people who run for office are, which is why we delinked the question. The first requirement of running for office should be that you desperately do not want to run for office. That would be a good start. But as far as President Obama, his narcissism, yes, he's an egoist, but this goes along with the overweening sense of self that comes along with a nihilistic atheism resulting in his ideology. This is what the left is all about. It's all about narcissism. It's about your feelings. It doesn't matter if that black kid in the inner city gets shot in the face a couple of times. All that matters is that you feel good about what you say about the black